Did you know that since Michael Carrick's been in charge at Man United, they have been the best team in the Premier League? They're top over the 17 games that he's been in charge. Well, what's really interesting is how he's done that, because according to Enzo Maresca, who knows an awful lot about the Premier League, set pieces and man-to-man marking is the direction in which football is going. You've probably noticed how athletic and physical it's become. But although Man United are amazing at set pieces, like Maresca said, they scored the second most of any of them last season, Bruno Fernandes believes that Michael Carrick has given them a certain level of freedom and responsibility to make decisions on the pitch, and that's one of the things they benefited from. So how do we make them even better? The answer is probably in transfers and the players that they buy. And as Omar Barada has said, they have a clear plan in the summer transfer window. They're looking for a mixture of experience and youth, particularly, I think, Premier League experience. So players like Mbeumo and Cunha, who came in last season, proven at Premier League level, there's no adaptation period needed. You know they're going to make the team better. And of course, what they've already done is brought in Andries Santos and Youri Tielemans, two Premier League proven midfielders who do an awful lot of things that they want to have in that midfield. But what we need to look at is what Carrick actually needs right now to make this team better. And the first way to do that is to look at what he's actually doing. And what he's doing is, of course, this kind of 4-2-3-1 shape that we've seen an awful lot of. It's all built around Bruno Fernandes. He is the main creator. The midfield's mostly functional behind him. They need to be able to break lines with passing. It's very important. But they also need to be able to play from the back. So there's a mixture of playing from the back. When they're getting pressed high, they want to play through pressure by dropping these in, but also they want to be able to play direct and get over the top of presses, and there's a way to do that. It's quite De Zerbi-ish in that you'll get the two wide players will stay up, and then the two strikers will drop in a little bit here to try and help out and drag players out of position so that you can get these out to in runs to get them in behind. But you also need to have, when they're attacking, you need to have someone who can run in behind, someone who can drop deep and link play. Then you have an overlap on one side when they attack, and when the left back overlaps, the right back will tuck in a little bit, so maybe a 3-2 in some phases, and then later on they can push up when they get to the final third, and you get more of the 2-3 shape or something else when they can underlap and overlap in the final third. But there's more things that Carrick does specifically that are really interesting because he likes to give them freedom, like we said, Bruno Fernandes talking about freedom. And what you often get is lots of players bunching up together to have these lovely little rondos that they do, so you have lots of players over here to try and overload the opposition, but it means you can play these little short passes, and then you can switch to someone on the opposite side. So oftentimes it's Mbeumo or Ahmad on the other side who are isolated here, and then they get a bit of dialogue with the striker when they switch the play over here. So it's a lot of adapting to opponents. They're not playing in a set way. Sometimes they're direct, sometimes they just keep the ball, sometimes they push the ball backwards and try and push them up, sometimes they drop in the mid-block. It's all very flexible. And if we know what Carrick wants to be able to do, we can look at the squad depth and see what he has to be able to do that with. Now, the only striker they have is Benjamin Sesko, so I might suggest they start there. That's where you should probably be looking. But it's complicated because you don't want to block Sesko's minutes. You don't have someone who's as better than him blocking his development. He could become one of the best strikers in the world. So what sort of striker can you then buy from Man United? Well, the first thing you want is someone who generates high expected goals consistently, someone who does that, but who's also Premier League proven with some experience. You don't need a youthful player now because you have Benjamin Sesko who you can't block his development into the first team. So you can play Mbeumo at the top. He's done that quite a few times for Man United. When he does it, he can drop in and help link the play. Really good at that. Will often drift in positions to help them create overloads. And that's something that the forward can do. When he moves over, then the right back can push up. But the striker has to be able to offer a few things. Like I said, run in behind, drop deep to link play, but also high goal generation. They can't be expensive either. And so you're looking at maybe a more experienced player from the Premier League that makes sense. How about Ollie Watkins, if you can get a deal done for about 35-40 million pounds? Depends on what Man United's budget is. If you get 2 or 3 years out of Watkins, you get guaranteed goals every year. That's what he does. You get the same sort of adaptability moving into wide spaces that helps them link the play the way they want to. You can run in behind. You can do pretty much whatever you want to. Now, the next obvious place to look is in midfield. What do Man United need in their midfield? They've been linked with a third central midfielder for a long time. John McKenzie did an excellent video that you can see on the channel talking about why they maybe don't need a big space defender right now. And when you look at what they've signed in Andries Santos and Youri Tielemans, it's two players who aren't specified specialists. They're not a 6, 8 or 10. They can do pretty much all of that. Santos is more defensive maybe. Tielemans can do all of it. I think Carrick wants to be adaptable and to be able to do lots of different things with his players. So you have specialists who are sort of wedded to doing that. Now, if you look at what the midfielders actually do, you sometimes see in certain situations, they don't need a big space defender to be able to deal with it. For example, here's Kobbie Mainoo with the ball playing against Liverpool. Now you see Casemiro, the defensive midfielder, is up here as the number 10. The overlap for Shaw is on, Dorgu's dragged someone inside, but lots of players are bunched in the middle. You can see them all sort of gathered here. Now Mainoo's probably going to want to punch this through the middle, But if he does that and loses the ball, they're going to be a bit of trouble. That's why they have this sort of safety net. If Liverpool do break, they can just sweep in and try and control that. That's your rest defence, so make sure you're in a certain position. They're keeping the team anchored to try and give a bit of width to spread them out. Now Manu, obviously a very good player, fires the ball into Cunha, who comes round, and then you start to see the tensions that they're building with Shaw and Dorgu dragging the players out of position here. So as you can see, they've got all the players gathered together. Like we said, they want to get them together, more relations, so they can pass the ball and win it back if they lose it. But you still see that Manu's kind of on his own protecting this. But the players push up, Maguire's getting tight here, so your rest defence is looking after this. You don't need a big space defender in this situation. As it turns out, because Manu's reading the play really well, when the ball comes in from the left-hand side, it drops to him and he finishes it to win the game for Man United. So that's very good for him, well done. But what you see also, again, looking at how Man United play off the ball, they play this mid-block, so they're trying to press with like a 4-2-4 shape, what they do an awful lot of. The idea is to show the ball wide, and this is when it works really well. The ball goes wide, the two show the ball wide, the defender tries to ping it forward, and that's the trap, because the ball goes wide, the fullback pushes up, they win the trap, and because they're in a mid-block, not a high or a low, there's space either side, so they can retreat if they need to, but they can also counter-attack the space rather than being so high up, which is where you need a big space defender. So when this comes in, the ball is won by Shaw. They do the thing that I think they like doing, little rondos, little short passes, third man moves, so into Mbumo, back to, I think it's Manu, who then looks for the pass forward, third man run into Bruno Fernandes, who turns and they can attack immediately. So this is the kind of transitional direct play that Carrick likes, combined with this short passing that he also wants to incorporate to play through these high presses. So I'd expect to see a mix of André Santos and Tielemans, maybe Manu and Tielemans. What we've seen in pre-season so far is that Mason Mount has been used in this position as well, and that makes an awful lot of sense for him as someone who can be busy with the ball, but busy without it too. They've also got Tyler Fletcher, who might break into the team, you never know. They like bringing through youth players at Man United. Now, of course, as Barada has said, if a deal becomes open, like if they can sell Ugarte, injured, they can maybe do something. If they could sell Rashford, maybe they could do something. But when we look again at the depth, you can see it's actually not that badly put together. You've got three options on the right-hand side, Mbumo, Ahmad, Shea Lacey's breaking into the team, maybe he'll get a go this season, he can play through the middle as well. Xerxes can swap between these two here, maybe he'll go, they'll bring in someone to replace him. There's so many things going on. Cunha can play on the left or through the middle. Dorgu can play on the left-hand side as a winger now, that seems to be his position. Also, he can drop into the left-back to give more cover here. Harry Mas has done quite well in pre-season so far, maybe he'll get a go. Mazraoui can cover over here. Yoro's been playing as a right-back in pre-season. They've got options, they've got youth team players coming through. 2 players per position is what you want. That's the ideal depth, with a young player breaking through who can get minutes there. That said, United have had quite a few injury problems over the years. Luke Shaw, quite regularly injured. Martinez, quite regularly injured. De Ligt is out until about the autumn, we think. Fredriksen's very young. Aiden Heaven's very young. And so if you're relying on Maguire and Yoro for a lot of games this season, of course with European football and Premier League, that's not ideal. And I think they probably need to have a centre-back. But it can't just be someone for depth. They have depth, it's just sometimes they're injured or they're too young. It's got to be someone who's experienced, Premier League proven. They also need to be physical, like Enzo Maresca has talked about, is relevant to their set pieces. They lost Casemiro, it's 9 goals gone. So they need someone who can be dominant in the air, especially in the opposition box. And so if we have Yoro Maguire, what I come up with that meet all these parameters are a few players. We've got Murillo and Nottingham Forest. Now again, that's probably a 70, 80 to 100 million pound transfer. Do they need to do it when they kind of have the depth? It's hard to tell if they need that. But he's the sort of physically dominant player, really good with playing with the ball, that you could offer line-breaking passes, long balls over the top. That would work quite well for me. You've also got, possibly, and this is where we see some of the complications, Ilya Zabarny, who's right-footed, playing at PSG, didn't have a great start to his career there, might be available for something like 60 million, something like that. The problem I have with that is that I think United should be looking for players who are hungry, ones who are coming up in their career, rather than ones who have gone to the top, hasn't worked out, and they're coming down again. And so I have a genuine, sensible transfer, which I think might please all of you. Arthur Theat. This is a Belgian centre-back, currently at Eintracht Frankfurt. It all makes total sense, and I can show you exactly why. Now, you may well have heard of Theat. He was playing for Belgium at the World Cup, did really, really well. You can see his numbers here from our lovely athletic graphic. Tends to win the ball in these sorts of situations here. Can play left-back and left centre-back. He's going to solve a few problems also. First reason I like him, the weight of pass, the choice of pass. He looks to pass forward whenever he can. Obviously, there's short passes on, and he played next to Tielemans actually in his World Cup team. But just one example, this might look like a really simple pass, but the weight of the ball is what takes it round the player trying to press and cut out the passing lane. That's an attacking situation with one pass that some players genuinely just can't play that sort of ball. When this ball is passed, so this ball is passed from this player here, it's cut out, and what you see here is his vision and his anticipation of what's going on combined with his athleticism. Because the counter-attack is on, this ball is on, except Teat is read the play, fast enough to get in behind with a head start, manages to get across, wins the ball. Another great example of defending 1v1. These are the kind of things that would really suit Man United when Martinez can't play. Martinez will still be the first choice. Teat could, I think, dislodge him, could be one for the future. You've got him there, alongside Euro developing, with De Ligt or Maguire, someone like that. That's a pretty solid Man United backline. But it's not enough. We still need a fullback, and I think we need a fullback who plays on the left. Now, Luke Shaw has got over a lot of injury troubles and has played an awful lot. He can be relied upon now in that left back slot. He's still the number one. So whoever's there is probably going to be a backup. So you've got Dorgu can play there as a left back when you need him to. You've got Harry Amas, maybe he'll get a lot of games this season, maybe go out on loan, don't know. Mazraoui can cover as well. But they need someone who is probably better than Luke Shaw to be the future of this team. That's what they need to have. There's no point spending 30, 40, 50 million on players good enough to be a squad player. You want someone who's amazing. And they're linked constantly to Lewis Hall. If they could get him for a reasonable number, something like 50, 60, 70, that would sort their left side of the defence for the next 5, 6, 7 years. That's the kind of sign they should be making. Premier League experience, youthful, can play in multiple positions, is really good technically. That would be a really solid transfer window for Man United. And so that's what I think Man United could do as options to improve this summer in the transfer window. But of course, maybe they don't need to. Because did you know that since Michael Carrick took charge of Man United, they're the best team in the Premier League?
If you like this video, please consider subscribing to the channel. The Athletic is home to some of the world's best sports journalists, including David Ornstein, Amy Lawrence and James Horncastle. With the latest transfer news and insights on every Premier League story that matters, theathletic.com puts you inside football